Drawing this summer illustration is easier than you think, and if you follow my step-by-step tutorial, I promise you can draw this. Before you start drawing, please download the color palette, link is in the description. And now let's start. Let's make new canvas, A4 canvas from Procreate. And here is the color palette we are going to use. Let's take this first color here and drag and drop it to the canvas. This will be our water background, and now we are going to add some more colors in there. Let's take another color, this darker blue one, and let's pick the brush. Let's go to airbrushing and pick soft brush. My brush size here will be 19%. And I'm going to color the bottom part of this canvas like this. It doesn't have to be very precise. And now let's take another color, this lighter blue one, and we can color the top part of the canvas. Now let's make a new layer to create that water effect. Let's change the color to the white one. And let's change the brush. Let's go to inking and pick Studio Pen. My brush size will be 24%. And we are going to draw some shapes like this. Let's call them blobs. Draw them close to each other. The edges can be touching, or you can leave a small space between them, but not too much. And let's fill the whole canvas with those blobs. You can make them in different shapes. And now I'm finished, and we have to color the spaces between those blobs. So we can just drag and drop the color here, like this. Let's fill in all the spaces. We can use this option here, continue filling with recolor. And now we have this plus here that we can move to the spaces we want to color. Okay, let's stop here to finish. And now we can refine the shapes. Let's use the eraser tool for this. Tap on it again. And let's pick here monoline from calligraphy. And my brush size will be 87%. And we can just make those shapes nicer. Make that white space between them a little bit smaller. So let's do it in a few places that you think they need fixing. And now we are going to duplicate this layer. So let's swipe this to the left and pick duplicate. And let's select that bottom layer, and we want to change the color of it. Let's take this color here, and we can drag and drop it there. So now, as you can see, this is in the dark blue color. We are going to use the arrow tool now to move this and to make it a little bit bigger. Let's make sure it will fit our canvas, and it will be moved a little bit like that. Let's tap here to finish, and now let's go to the adjustments, and we are going to use Gaussian Blur. Swipe your pencil on screen to add the blur size, and my blur size here will be 12%. Now we are going to turn down the opacity of this layer, so we can see through it a little bit. Let's make it 77%. And we can also turn down the opacity of this top layer. Let's make this one 80%. Okay, now let's make a new layer on top of it, so we can add some shine to the water. Let's take another color, this light blue one. Let's change the brush, let's go to airbrushing and pick soft brush. We can just add few swipes of the color like this, to add some light there. This will be enough. And we can now change the blending mode of this. Let's set this to add. And let's turn down the opacity to 42%. Okay, let's make now a new layer. And we can add some more shine to this water. We are going to take the white color here. Let's change the brush. Let's go to Luminance and pick Glimmer. Let's use the maximum size, 100%. And we can just add some shimmer here in this water, just in a few places. We are going to make it shine a little bit more. Let's go to the adjustments, go to Bloom, and swipe your pencil and screen to the bloom size. And then at the bottom we can change another settings. And my settings are like this. The main slide is 31%, transition is max, size is 25, and burn 29. Let's tap here to finish, and now we can move on and start creating our summer sign. Let's make a new layer for this. Change the color to this yellow one here. Let's change the brush, go to calligraphy and pick monoline. And my brush size will be 42%. And we are going to draw a circle here. Hold your pencil on the screen. And now put your finger on the screen to make this a perfect circle, like this. Let's color this inside, and now we can use the arrow tool to move it to the middle of the canvas. At the bottom I have uniform option turned on, and I have snapping turned on. Let's tap here to finish, and now we can start adding some more elements there. We are going to add some palm trees. Let's make a new layer for this. And here I'm going to be using my palm tree stem brushes, but I will show you in a moment what you can do if you don't have them. So here are my brushes, link to them is in the description if you are interested in them. And I'm going to pick here this one, palm tree one. And with the brush size 24%, I'm going to stamp a tree here. And now we can use the arrow tool to rotate it a little bit and move it in the place we want it to be. We can also use this warp option here and maybe bend it a little bit, like this. And if you don't have my brushes, this is what you can do. You can download a picture of a palm tree, and then you can go to the Actions menu, go to Add, and insert the photo. Pick your photo, and now you can create a new layer above it, and you can just trace on it. So take the brush you like and just trace over the picture. When you finish, you can just turn off the layer with the picture. Okay, I'm going to go back to my brushes. And I'm going to pick now this one here, Palm Tree 8. And this one will be in size 30, and I'm going to stamp it here. I would like to move this a little bit, but because those palm trees are on one layer, I have to use the selection tool with the freehand option on and turn off color fill. I'm going to select this one, and then I can use the arrow tool to transform it how I want it. Okay, now we are going to draw the umbrella and the sunbed. Let's change the brush, let's go back to monoline brush. And with the brush 25%, I'm going to draw a simple shape of an umbrella, like this. I'm holding my pencil down on the screen to make this a nice arc, and I'm going to finish it like that. And for the sunbed, I'm going to make the brush size 6%, and I will start with straight lines for the legs, and now a bed here like this. This is just a very simple shape. Let's color the inside, And now we can add some shading to this whole shape. First we have to put those layers together, so let's tap here and pick merge down. And now we can make a new layer above it and set it to clipping mask. So this way we are going to draw only on the shape underneath it. Let's change the color to this pink one. And let's take the brush with texture, let's go to charcoals and take to be compressed. My brush size will be 16%. And I'm going to color the bottom part of this shape like that. I'm doing it a few times so the bottom part will be darker. If you're enjoying this video so far and would like to draw more with me, please check out my Patreon where I have more tutorials like this and also some special Procreate brushes. Link is in the description. And now we are going to change the color. Let's take this yellow one here, and with this we can shade the top of this shape, like that, also a few times. And now we can add shadow to this. So to do that we have to tap on this layer here and duplicate it. Now let's tap at that bottom layer and we can color it with other color. Let's take this blue one here and drag and drop it there. So now this is blue. Let's take the arrow tool and we can move it this way here a little bit. And let's blur this. Let's go to adjustments and pick Gaussian Blur. And here my blur size will be 8%. I'm going to move it out a little bit more. Okay, and maybe we can change the blending mode of this. Let's set this to multiply. Now let's make the text. So let's tap on this layer here on the top. Let's change the color. Let's pick white color. And to add the text, we have to go to the Actions menu and then pick Add Text. Let's write our text, Enjoy Summer. And now let's tap on this word here. Pick Select All and tap here to change the font. I'm going to pick here this one, drag Armstrong BB in the bold italic style, and I'm going to change the size so it will fit our design better. So my size will be here 109.6. And now we can change this option here, kerning. This will spread the letters out. I'm going to set it to 3.4. And to make the space between those words smaller, we can change leading here. And my leading will be -17.4. Let's tap on Done. And we can still adjust this using the arrow tool. Let's rotate it a little bit. And let's make it a little bit bigger still. Now, we want to add some shadow to this text, so we have to duplicate this layer. Let's tap at the layer underneath it, tap again and pick Edit Text. Let's select it. And let's change the color. Let's take this color here. Now we can use the arrow tool to move it out a little bit. And we are going to do it again. So let's duplicate this layer. Select the layer underneath it, pick here Edit Text, select the whole text, and then let's change the color to the next one in line, this one here, and let's move it out again. Now we have this double shadow. Let's add also a small outline to this text. Let's tap on the top layer and duplicate it. And now let's tap at the layer underneath it, pick Edit Text. Let's select it all. Let's open the options and pick here this. This will make the outline text. Let's change the color to this blue one here. And let's tap on Done. Now we have this outline, but I want this to be less visible, so I'm just going to turn down the opacity of this layer. I'm going to make it 17%. Okay. Let's tap on the top layer and make a new layer above it, so we can draw some leaves in the foreground. Let's change the brush, let's go to inking and pick Studio Pen. And with the brush size 20%, we can draw simple leaves like this. Make sure you are closing the shapes. And maybe we can draw one more here at the top corner. And now we can color it inside. So let's drag and drop the color in here. And let's use this option here, continue filling with recolor, so we can color quickly all the leaves. Okay. Let's tap here to finish, and let's add some texture to these leaves. To do that, we are going to turn this layer into alpha lock. This way we are going to draw only on this layer, on the shapes on the layer. Let's change the color, take this dark green one, let's take the brush with texture, let's go to charcoals and pick burnt tree. And with the brush size 54%, we can add the texture to the whole leaves like this. And now we can add some more texture there, together with the light. Let's make a new layer for this. Let's set this to Clipping Mask. Change the color to this yellow one here. And let's change the brush. Let's pick here maybe this one, 4B compressed. And with the brush size 14%, we can add some texture and light on one side of the leaves. Like this. And now we can change the blending mode of this. So let's tap here and let's pick Color Dodge. Turn down the opacity to 88%. Let's add a drop shadow from this plant. So let's tap on this layer and duplicate it. Pick the layer underneath it. Let's turn off alpha lock. And let's color this with our shadow color, so this dark blue one here. And now we can use the arrow tool to move it out, just like that. And let's blur this. So let's take the Gaussian Blur and let's add the blur size 5%. Now we can change the blending mode of this to multiply. So now this illustration could be finished already, but I thought we can add some more texture to it and make it more interesting. So to do that, let's tap on the top layer and make a new layer above it. Let's change the color to black. And let's go to the adjustments and pick here noise. Swipe the pencil on the screen to add the noise size. And then at the bottom we can still change the size. So my noise size at the top side will be 26% and the bottom size is 13. We can change the blending mode of this. Let's set it to overlay. And let's turn down the opacity to 71%. Let's make a new layer for some more texture. Change the color to this purple one here. Let's change the brush. Go to Artistic and pick Aurora. And with the brush size 66%, we can go across the screen like this. Make like a wavy line. And now we can change the blending mode of this. Let's set this to Vivid Light. And turn down the opacity to 36%. Okay, and one more texture. Let's make a new layer. Change the color to this last one here. Let's change the brush, go to Materials and pick Blackwood. And with the brush size 48%, we can color the whole canvas like this. And of course we're going to change the blending mode here. Let's pick here Color Burn. And turn down the opacity to 40%. And now this illustration is finished. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please share your illustration with me on my Instagram, I would love to see it. And now I have a special shout out for my big fans on Patreon. Thank you so much for being there with me and supporting me. Thank you so much for watching and see you in my next video. Bye!